How's it going, guys, and welcome back to BL3's Forgotten, the series where I take a look at underused and not often talked about pieces of gear to determine whether or not they deserve to be remembered within the modern meta of the game or should be left behind and forgotten. And today we are taking a look at the Mother 2. If you'd like to farm the Mother 2 for yourself, you're going to want to fast travel over to the Blast Plains on Gehenna, specifically taking the Fort Kickwater fast travel station. From there, you're going to run over and down towards the save station, which is the one that we will be resetting from. From there, carry on forward until you find this little encampment that has a telezapper, which upon entering it, you'll be transported to the area where you can fight Slithermaw. Kill Slithermaw and you can get yourself the Mother 2. The Mother 2 is a legendary Tediore SMG, able to roll in any of the elements and with 1 or 2 projectiles per shot, costing 1 and 2 ammo per shot respectively. Due to being a beam type weapon, it won't actually show ×2 on the card, however it does deal increased damage on the beam, and it should list that it costs 2 ammo per shot as well. That being said though, the 2 times isn't really worth using. When fired, the Mother 2 will shoot a continuous beam of damage, and when chucked, the Mother 2 will become a drone which deals continuous damage through a beam underneath it. This drone will chase down enemies for 8 seconds before exploding, though will explode earlier if the drone itself impacts an enemy. The Mother 2 has had 2 changes, first being hit by the overall Tediore nerf of 50% less reload explosion damage, before then gaining a direct buff being a 20% increase to weapon damage, along with an increase to its reload damage. You know, funnily enough, your mother is a hell of a lot like a Tediore, disposable after serving her purpose. Please tell her to stop calling me. The Mother 2 is an interesting one, but definitely not when it comes to firing, as it pretty much is just a beam gun. Like, quite literally, there's purple Molly-Won SMGs that function exactly the same. But not only is firing it just a little bit bland, it's also pretty shit, but that's not really what this gun is meant to do. It's a Tediore, so speaking of it as a Tediore, it is very cool in concept. I think that having this laser beam drone that chases down enemies is really fucking cool, and even just visually is fun. Unfortunately though, as fun and as cool as it is, it kind of falls flat when it goes beyond just its concept. Though to be fair to this gun, it was a hell of a lot better than I expected it to be, and I remembered it being, which I assume is due to that buff that it got. Though this thing was pretty usable up even into true Molly-Won takedown, although that was mostly for the squishier enemies. Anything tankier like a badass, and suddenly the damage does fall off a cliff. However, it was pretty fun for taking care of large groups of enemies, not only just because chucking it into a large group was really funny to watch, but also because this laser beam can and will often crit, which not only does just up its damage a decent bit, but it also can trigger hollow point, so it can just nuke an entire group of enemies, which can be pretty fucking funny. It is worth noting with this that I did find that unlike a lot of other Tediores, I felt like this worked a hell of a lot better on a more generalized gun-focused build rather than my actual splash damage chuck build. This is mostly due to the fact that this gun scales off of weapon damage and crit damage more than it does splash damage. But I definitely think it's mostly the crit, as using this on my Zane build just felt better than anything else. Although it did also have a pretty good synergy with Phase Grasp, as Phase Grasp would hold the enemy directly in the same place, so the Mother 2 could just absolutely spam crits even harder than it already does. Unfortunately though, even with all that going for it, it's really just alright at best. Really the only use case I can think of for the Mother 2 is having one roll in Radiation or Cryo, tossing it out and swapping to other weapons while it irradiates and freezes enemies for you. Especially for Zane specifically, as it can trigger Brain Freeze pretty quickly, which to be fair, that is a pretty fun use case, but that makes this more utility than actual weapon. Now, I don't think I've ever talked about modded variants of guns before, but the Mother 2 in the Redux mod is actually made to be incredibly good while functioning exactly the same. And that is simply due to having good damage output. And honestly, probably better than good. It could definitely be argued that it's broken in Redux. But I bring this up because it goes to show that this is a gun where functionally it works fine and is a cool gimmick. It's just a problem with the numbers. The Mother 2 just simply needs better damage to become probably my single favorite Tediore. In short though, the Mother 2 was a hell of a lot better than I honestly expected it to be, although still not anything too amazing. It's not only just a very cool and very fun gimmick, but it is very functional, as is shown in the Redux mod, where just a damage increase makes it pretty damn good. And that's really all this thing would need to be a good weapon. But in its current state, it really is just only good for utility, using it to irradiate or freeze enemies automatically for you. That's gonna about do it for this one though. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, definitely consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe, all that. Down in the description will be a link to my Twitch channel where I'll be live right after this video goes up. However, I'm also thinking I might try to be live here on YouTube at the same time, so maybe be on the lookout for that as well. In the description though will also be a link to my Discord server where you can come and join and hang out. But with that all being said, I hope to see you guys in the next one.